Good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Suchi, and welcome to AI Minute Mondays. Now, learning a new language is one of the most important skills that a child can build. But keeping kids engaged and motivated is a challenge that all parents and educators know all too well. But AI is stepping into the space and it's transforming how kids can learn, primarily making things more interactive, more personalized, and definitely a lot more fun. And joining me today to help unpack this topic and explain more about how AI is reshaping language learning, I have James Wann with me, who is the founder of MandarinBytes, which is a Chinese language learning application designed specifically for kids. James, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. And for the sake of our viewers, if you can share a little bit about your background, that would be great.
Hi, Suchi. Well, thanks so much for having me. So my name is James Wann. I'm a technologist. I've been in the industry for a little over 30 years. Most recently, I was an executive at the Walt Disney Company, focused on actually data collection, privacy, as well as personalization data. What brings me here? Well, I saw kind of a gap with my own daughter in terms of her language education. We sent her to lots of school and tutoring, and what we noticed was that between the schools and tutoring, not much actual language learning was actually happening. And so I set off on learning as much as I can about language acquisition and language retention. And that kind of brought me to the conclusion that there was really a need to build an app. And that's how we got to where we are today with Mandarin Bytes.
Thank you, James, for sharing. That's an interesting story. Now, moving on to our topic. We all know that AI is opening up a whole world of possibilities with e learning and education, especially when it comes to personalization. But in your opinion, what is the biggest advantage that AI brings to children's language learning that traditional apps or even classroom methods cannot provide?
The current opinion that I have on this is really twofold. The first is that I don't think there's a replacement for in-class learning, partially because when I'm communicating with you, right? So there's a
Mhm.
body language aspect to it. So that part I don't think can be replaced. Well, I think the part that can be replaced is what I call a skills learning, right?
Mhm.
So under learning Chinese characters, learning how to pronounce them, learning how to read, and learning these different contexts. So that part, I think AI can be used very, very effectively and to adapt to where the kids are at and really to like, hey, I'm good at this. Great. We're going to nudge you a little bit, but not push you too hard, right? Because the moment we push kids too hard, I think they tend to disengage and have a lot of problems.
Thank you. So, what I'm hearing you say is that AI is great and it's helping. It's an aid. It's not a replacement to a traditional learning. And I think what you also mentioned, which was very interesting, is about how AI can be personalized to each individual child, nudge them along a little bit when they know or they show that they demonstrate a skill that they already acquired, and then hold back and not push them too hard to move them away from that particular topic.
Right, exactly. It's like you got to stretch and not break, right? And I think that's the
Yeah,
key.
yeah. Thank you. So that's super interesting. But let's talk a little bit more about, the cons of it. Like we all love AI, we all love all these online e-learning tools and everything. But what do you see as the biggest challenge that the industry needs to address? Whether it's from a perspective of screen time balance or data privacy. I know you have a background in data privacy, so you could probably talk through that, or even just replacing the human element. So, what do you think the industry, or what do you think that we as parents and educators need to keep in mind when we use these tools?
Yeah, I'll try to address them pretty quickly. I think with data privacy, you just, like Mandarin Bytes, you just need to be a privacy first organization, right? Respect the consent boundaries of your
Hmm.
customers and really
Hmm.
try not to breach that. And I think that's, just really a matter of trust. As far as kind of like parental balance, in kind of a lot of our customer interviews, something comes up, and I don't know if this is common with Asian parents, but the number one objection is, well, I don't want my kid to be on a screen. Right. And so one of the things that caused us to really research into is to try to figure out how to like build out like a hybrid, screen and non-screen portion of the application. So, if you we highly recommend being on the screen at least twice a week. It allows us to assess where your child is at. At the same time, if you don't want to do screen, we actually have a methodology for creating worksheets. So you can just get on MandarinBytes, start getting your kid to practice, and then as the app learns more about your child, you do worksheets, and you can go do worksheets at home with your kid without a screen. So
Amazing. So you have both the screen and non-screen options so that parents can choose and try and maintain that balance between screen time. And also, like you mentioned, the data privacy part, I think that's super critical. So, as parents and educators, when we choose an app to help our kids, we need to ensure that it is built from a company which has privacy first as one of the guiding principles. Yeah, so thank you. That's super critical. And I think lastly, the other point that you had already mentioned was that we are not replacing humans. The human element is super critical, but all of these apps should be an addition to a human element, but not replace it completely.
that's correct. And I have a pretty funny story I can share with you. So one of the things we do is we actually look at existing curriculum because again, I don't think you could replace the existing curriculum. I think a lot of the stuff that the teachers and educators have done is just absolutely wonderful. Um, when you're at a very early stage of your language learning, your vocabulary is very small.
Mm,
And something that we discovered in our development was that the LLMs, which are mostly Western trained,
mm,
actually have a really hard time generating content to the point where, and this is for folks that if you speak Chinese, you're going to get this. This is a pretty bad joke. So one of the first things you learn is the word for three. Um, sorry, the word for eight, and one of the first things you learn is the word for king. You never put those two words together. It's kind of it's kind of very cursy. I would
oh,
just call it
okay.
that way. But the LLM was actually happily generating some some pretty naughty stuff. So we
Uh,
had to actually do a lot of very specific training and put together a lot of quality assurance things in place so that you're not teaching bad things. So again, LLMs are wonderful. I think it's and they've been very helpful in terms of helping us develop a lot of our content. At the same time,
yeah.
with every AI project, as you know, you gotta validate.
Thank you. So that's a very interesting anecdote. And like you said, don't just let AI run wild, but train your AI with the right context, with the right data, so that you have accurate results. So
Yeah.
thank you, James. It's been great having you on the show and hearing your thoughts on how AI is transforming the field of e-learning and more specifically language learning for kids. So, looking forward to having the next generation multicultural and maybe multilingual. And yeah, that's great. So, thank
No,
you.
thanks
And
for no, thanks so much for having me. Really cool chatting about our experiences and yeah, but obviously loving the AI space, and I think yeah, looking forward to your next podcast too.
thank you, James. And all the best to Mandarin Bytes as well. For our viewers, if you need more details, we will add the link to Mandarin Bytes in the chat so you can follow up and you can figure out if you want your kids to learn Chinese. Thank you. Bye.